they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. What's going on, party people? We're going to have some fun tonight. We got my partner in crime, Mr. Danny Hastings. We're going to introduce to the show while she's traveling, doing us a solid, which is beautiful. And my partner in crime, he should be coming on shortly. So we're going to just touch a little bit about the world of sports and music. Got to give a big shout out to Brandy, killing it, going independent and doing her thing. And my boy Corey Rooney, who's the co-executive producer of that fabulous album. Also a shout out to behind the scenes PR, because Brandy's all over the place. Miss Tasha Stout. Might have to bring her on the show as well. And on the basketball tip, man, who would have thought the Phoenix Suns coming from nowhere going 7-0. It is crazy. Hold on 1 second. We trying to log in on Facebook Live at the same time. Multitasking. I'm telling you, this is a beautiful operation. But let me go ahead and introduce you to a friend of mine that I've known for over 20 plus years. My man right here, you know, he made the bold move to come from Panama, to come to the United States, come to New York City, packing up a few essential belongings, leaving behind friends and family, and transporting the globe armed with a 35 millimeter SLR film photography camera. The one where you had the little, you know, you had to develop the film type of joint. He was a young Panamanian Mexican tackling the concrete jungles of New York City. I've known him since we were going to NYU together. And he's the man that shot over 150 album covers, directing over 40 music videos. And his visionary has took himself to a whole nother echelon. He shot and designed unprecedented number of album covers for Diddy, Mark Anthony. I mean, it just goes on and on his list. And then this guy has the audacity to start a movie of a Latino film festival. And he's done commercials for NASCAR, Sprint, Samsung, MTV, DraftKings. I mean, this brother's doing his darn thing. And the beautiful thing about it, man, he's very humble and he's always looking to bring people in, especially from the Latino culture, which is the reason why he created the Latino Film Festival. In 2010, he even produced and wrote his own indie feature film called The Love Potion, which is hilarious, and Venus de Macho in 2019. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the show, and what's up, my partner, Kevin Carr, Mr. Korean crossover.
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, apologies, but the doggone Zoom internet connection got me today. My apologies, Mr. Hastings. We don't usually come on late. He know that. Everybody in America knows that. But the best of us got the best of us. So now I got it all worked out. We here for you. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, Danny has about 30 minutes, man. He's been globetrotting through this COVID stuff. He's looking like a white ninja right now, because he's being very protective, because you know he got some family expansion things going on, so he has to be very careful. But that's what I love about him, because he's a true family man, and he's just doing his thing. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show, Mr. Danny Hastings. Can we get an applause from the In Touch Studios?
We got it. I got it.
All right. What's going on, Danny?
Danny having technical difficulties too. Is he there?
He's there. He's there. Hold on. I'm trying to click unmute. I don't know why is it mute.
Hmm.
Let us
Yeah,
see.
are we good? Are we gonna make it?
We are going to.
Can Danny call back in if it's a little challenging on the timing there?
Yeah, yeah. Danny, call back in.
Yeah, he's reconnecting. I see it connecting. You see it?
Yep, it's connecting to audio.
Yeah, he's coming back.
It's doing the little wavy thing right there. I see.
Hey, in the meantime, my man 50 grand in by way of Brooklyn's in the house.
Brooklyn is in the house. Yes. I gotta give a big shout out to DJ Cassidy.
Okay.
He's worked with Danny Hastings as well.
Okay.
He's doing that Pass the Mic that's been unbelievable.
Okay, tell us about Pass the Mic. Some of us may not know.
Yeah. So Pass the Mic, basically, he's the DJ and he's letting everybody come in virtually, in which they say they verses from certain records. So he had Grand Poobah come in.
Oh wow.
He had CL Smooth, all his favorites, all of our favorites from the '90s. He came in and did the hit records that just was the soundtrack of my life, of my summers. Okay. And it was beautiful. I loved it. I loved it.
I love that because what it does, it brings it in today, right? You may have heard it and you're like, who did that? Now you get to see who did that, and they got a little more seasoning like I do, but they're able to still put down the lyrics in the way in which you heard it the first time. My son, he reminds me, what is
Hello.
Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Danny, can you hear us now?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Awesome.
I was saying, what an amazing introduction, man. That was an amazing. You said it all. I don't have to say anything else.
you my dogs, baby. We go
Bro,
way back since the NYU Green.
Yo,
it's kind of amazing to see all of us how we all have done our thing, just being in that little corner at Loeb Student Center, which is no longer there, right?
By the cafeteria.
Yep. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I came to Texas. I did a quick round trip in a day to meet with Raekwon the chef.
Raekwon the chef.
We got some marvelous stuff cooking to get your mouth watering.
Oh man, I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
Y'all got that Tex-Mex going on, or what else? What do y'all got?
As a matter of fact, we went to a Tex-Mex restaurant. He took me to his favorite Tex-Mex restaurant, and it was amazing. Well, what we're doing is because it's the 25th anniversary of the Only Being for Cuban Links. I'm able to now. I'm basically selling prints like gallery prints, museum quality. So these are photographs. These are not like inkjet prints or poster quality prints. This is photography quality gallery print archival. So like if you go to a museum of modern art, see any photograph will be of this quality, right? So I'm printing all the album covers in that quality. And then selling it to the fans, selling to the people that appreciate the artwork and taking a piece of history, and keeping them at home. And Raekwon signs them, so he signed them, and now we're gonna make it available for anyone to have wants to have the image of the purple tape in a wall frame, not the kind of poster that you put tags on the on the wall. You have to actually get it framed professionally so it can preserve because it's not a cheap thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a work of art. So that's kind of like what I'm doing right now. And I got the Risa. I got one with Nas too. Nas signed 50 prints, and it's a beautiful thing, man. It's
It,
never a
it,
dull
it is
moment with me.
it is a beautiful thing. Did you want to ask a question, Kevin? Because I know I mean, you got your artwork in the background and stuff.
Hey, Danny, it sounds like in terms of making money opportunities in film and photography, you figuring it out. So is this one of the ways you're making money in this age of quarantine?
Yeah, that is exactly one of the age. I mean, one of the ways I'm making money in this age of quarantine. That is exactly it. I figure, and actually, I think for artists, you know, there's wave, right? There's wave that you're like, super super hot, and everything cools down. You have to kind of reinvent yourself, and then you go
Right.
back at it again, and there's another wave, and all of us that create, whether it's music or movies, so you've seen them, right? Spike Lee will come out with a movie this year. You don't hear from him in like 3 4 years. He's cooking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he
Yeah,
comes back again. But the world of photography has has suffered a lot from the days that I started, because of technology, because of the availability, for of the technology of all these cameras. Now everyone has a camera. In the past, um, I'm not sure the statistics, but I think in the past 10 years or something like that, we have taken more pictures than the beginning of photography.
Mm.
So, that when, at the beginning of the century, when photography started in the 1800s, right?
Right.
In the last 10 years, we've taken more pictures, right? That from the beginning to up to 10 years ago. It's like,
Wow.
so, you can only imagine like what has done to photography. It has evolved pretty much, where it's a good thing for in one hand, and it's a bad thing for others, right? So you kind of have to evolve with the times, I think.
Well, I think that's interesting that you talk about that because, in your opinion, what is the next trend for photographers and creative directors and artists? Because you're in that realm. I mean, you're the one that started making money of not only doing a photo shoot, but corresponding and providing the creative direction for these artists, especially hip hop,
Hmm.
because hip hop wasn't getting those big budgets like R&B, and then all of a sudden, with the success of the Wu Tang and other artists, they were able to get bigger budgets. So, kind of share with us, where do you see the next evolution in making money in the creative?
That's a really good question. And that usually, I'm in a good circle, man. Like I talk to old school photographers, I talk to the new school photographers, and I'm kind of like in the middle, because well, even though I'm old school, I still consider myself that I'm, like young in spirit,
Right.
right? And I think that the next trend it's definitely being determined by young photographers. It's being determined by them and what they consider what's hot and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this new generation, what I really love about this new generation is like they're so confident on what they do, right? Like in recognizing peer to peer what they're doing
Mm.
collectively,
Mm-hmm.
right? And some of the young photographers, are like, oh, that's hot, that's hot, that's hot, and they kind of go and really recognizing each other, and they're kind of coming up where you see it. You see some of these young photographers that have been professional for 5 years, getting huge followings, getting the recognition that some of us used to get not through social media. But they're utilizing all the tools, man, and that's kind of like what I love about it.
Mm-hmm.
From Instagram to filters to things that they're coming up with, um, that used to be really hard for us to do back then. It's very easy for them. So, you know, they're embracing it, they're doing it, and hey, man, they're making money out there,
Right.
right?
Right.
There's so many ways. I was talking to a photographer, um, friend of mine, that like, can you retire as a photographer? And the answer is yes, because there are people that are retiring that make enough money, and there's so many ways to make money right now. Like you have, for example, stock photography,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can actually take pictures of whatever dogs, right?
Right.
And you have like a line of like just dog pictures and sell them online, and somebody's gonna buy those things. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to really, reinvent the wheel. The stores are there, and I think it's everything is being prepared for this moment now. And if you're stuck in the old days, hmm, I don't know. I think it'll become very difficult if you don't evolve with the technology,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
that's interesting, man. So I want to kind of piggyback a little bit, but I want to take us, if you could take us, our audience, back into your world. How did it feel when
Hmm.
things were like canceled and things like all the work you were doing due to COVID? How did you pivot? How did you pivot? And the other caveat is, what is it like now doing photo shoots in this era of COVID? So answer both
Mm.
of those.
Um, I started, sometimes these things happen, and for a lot of us, it's a blessing, right?
Hmm.
In disguise, right? I basically, I went and I was like, man, without photo shoots, photo shoots is a big part of my income. So I decided, I was like, let me just open a store and start selling prints, right, of my
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like, it made me go into, and obviously I have a beautiful, I have a beautiful, word that captured an era that people, it's epic, right? It's something people want, and I opened a store. That's kind of like when I did it. All of a sudden, I have like 40 orders. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? And then like every week, I get 10 orders and 10 this and that, and I started to really develop in that business, and tapping, working with the rappers themselves, the artists, because I don't want to sell people's image without their involvement, without them also benefiting from making money,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, they come in, they sign their pictures, and now the fan not only has a Danny Hastings signed picture, but he has or she has a Nas signed picture as well, right? So they have a so we give them two signatures in one piece, which is very valuable. And that sort of forced me, the pandemic forced me to get into that. And something that I was not really doing, and something that young photographers have been doing, like they're all on it.
Mm-hmm.
They do a photo shoot, they put it up, they can sell books, they have all these tools. Um, and they are developing their trends. And I think that for me, as somebody that has done it for already almost 30 years, um, I mean, I love it, man. I love it. I think, the future is exciting for art and for to share and connect with people. Like before, I was not able to connect with people, right? Like you'll do an album, I will do an album cover, and if I didn't meet you, on the street or in a party, be like, oh, you shot that album cover, oh man, that means so much to me. I would never know. But now I get like so many messages of people like saying like, you don't understand how much this album meant to me. Like I grew up with having that poster over my bed. I saw it every day. Like I can't believe I'm talking to the guy that shot it. Some
Right,
people are like,
right.
you changed my life. Some people are like, this album saved my life.
Well, you know what?
Thanks.
Check this out. Check this out, Danny. What about, because I know we short for time with you, but can you break? Are
They
you
haven't
doing like a
started
part?
boarding, so we're good.
Okay. Are you
Yeah.
partnering with the artists themselves and splitting the proceeds?
Yeah. Yeah, they get a percentage. They get a percentage of whatever we sell,
Mm-hmm.
and we do it together, man.
See,
So
that's
in a
I
way,
think
some
that's a key. That's a key point right there, because it does two things. One, it reinforces your relationship with the artist. I love that.
hmm
And then the second thing it does is that, everybody likes to make money. So the
who
artist is like,
doesn't, man?
you just help me generate another revenue stream, and you're doing the work. All they got to
I,
do is
I
sign.
I I almost see it like, look, remember the money that you paid me in that photo shoot like 20 years ago? I'm bringing it right back to you.
that is
I'm
awesome.
bringing it back, right? So, and I'm grateful, man. Like, hey, if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be me, and they were the ones that said, I want this guy to shoot my album. I was, also doing good work. So, they understood that they were going to get something of quality. So I care, dude. Like, I wanted to, I care. I wanted, you saw me. You saw
Oh
me when
yeah.
I was like 21, you know,
You were passionate, and and
back in the day.
it brings me to my next question that I want to share with you, because I know how much you care, and I'm going to do something little unique and different, because I'm all about diversity, you know, and
hmm
I want you to share how you helped made sure that you brought in other Latino folks to be a part of this journey with you, and how
hmm
they made money too. So just the same way you did relationships with the artists and you're making money with them, can you kind of share, how you've taken the lead role in helping other Latinos make money in the industry?
in terms of production or in terms of like film festival.
A little bit of everything. Yeah. I mean, production, film festival, because,
Yeah, I
bottom
I
line
think the
is,
film in terms of production, I was not just like Latinos only. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
in New York City, everybody's so mixed. It's like black Latinos. Like I always make sure that my production team was diverse. Like
hmm
you know what I mean? Because whenever I saw productions, I only saw white kids running the show, and I was like, well, why is this happening, right?
right.
So I recognized that immediately and wanted to make sure that I put the community on. And but then I realized that it was also my job to make sure that they were trained, that they knew what they were doing. You know what I mean? And if you saw me with a team, it was pretty much the same team constantly, right?
hmm
And I think it's very important because what happens is that a lot of, and it's changing, bro. It's changing because you see now on HBO, like shows like, it's a race show, or you can see like Gentify, and you see all these different, minority or diverse um, shows. And it's because now the critical thinking artist is actually writing the stuff. You know,
hmm
we
hmm
started we started doing like the technical part, like the camera stuff, the this, the that, the jibs, and the lenses and the lighting, but now it's the IP, intellectual property, and that's where we're really gonna see a big difference. I'm so happy about the stuff that is coming out that we never saw that back then, right?
Right.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think I maybe have like another 5 more minutes. Actually,
so
yeah.
we gonna jump into we gonna do one question on power. Go ahead, Kevin. One question on power. One
No,
question on.
actually, go ahead. Go ahead. We have time.
Go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead,
yeah.
Kev.
So, Danny, if you can you explain? I guess one question. In your own words as an artist, how has what you created in terms of your area of expertise, your power, how has it changed certain artists, and how has it changed? Can you talk
In,
to that?
like when you mean artists, you mean like music artists or artists like in general?
Just artists in general, like your work. How did it change an artist? Like to see your work and be influenced, or maybe it hasn't. I just want to know, has your work been that compelling, or it just really has added to an artist and made them happy, but not really changed them. What do you think?
Well, I think it, for me, I can only speak for myself, right? But I've been like, I always been the type of artist that I demanded what I'm worth, right? And with that came, I think it's the power that you're speaking about, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
completely changed the perspective on how I saw myself and how I saw what others was getting paid, right? And by others meaning more of like the people that were running the game, right? By
Mm-hmm.
people, right? Those photographers will get like an amazing, incredible amount of money. And when I first started, I was like, hey, I'll do it for half. But as I saw the opportunity that to demand that change me, and that also changed the people that were around me, because if we were doing a photo shoot for Wu Tang Clan, that at that point I think like we did it for 25% of what we'll be shooting the next year's projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
All my crew will also get more, right? And that
Right.
there's nothing better than that, because you know from where I come from, my you know immediate family will never think of like making money by being an artist, by being a photographer, by being a writer, by being a singer, and that's kind of like one of the things I teach when I go back to school, to speak to these kids, right? Like, if you're talented, right? There's so many ways you can empower yourself by believing, right, in what you do, whether it's singing, dancing, writing. Unfortunately, sometimes the parents don't see that, and they're like, "You better get a job because this dancing thing, is not going to pay the bills." Meanwhile, we have one of the richest women in the world, Jennifer Lopez, that made a fortune,
Yep.
and she started as a dancer. You know
Right.
what I mean? She started straight up dancing in living color.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of like my experience on how I was able to, use my power to give back to the community, to make sure that if I'm coming up, someone else is coming up too. And dude, I've seen so many people that started with me and like have amazing careers right now, like amazing careers, dude. I can name like at least 10. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where I was the first one to say, hey, you know what? You can design an album cover. Hey, you know what? You can actually set design this for me. Hey, you know what? You can shoot this for me as a cinematographer. And I was able to recognize raw talent, right?
Yeah.
And and I think that's the power, right? To change someone's life little by little, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that through the years, now that I see like 30 years now, to see productions that are coming out of HBO, to see productions that are coming out of Netflix, that are like that you see yourself on TV. You know, I think that I was a little grain salt, a little grain of salt that added sand that added to the castle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was a lot of Danny Hastings doing that, right? Women and men, just kind of like saw the need for that, and eventually we're breaking, right? We're breaking that point where I don't know, but I'm super happy to see like all the productions that are coming out right now.
So let's talk
As
about
people,
what's your next
go ahead.
power move?
Well, you mentioned the official Latino Film Festival, and one of the things that I did was I recognized that there was not enough Latino representation, specifically American Latino representation
Right, right.
on TV, on like see like the Latino has like a double edged sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because networks and corporations, the first thing they think when they think Latino is Spanish language,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's not the case for us. Hey, yeah, I'm fluent. Spanish is my first language, but we don't communicate in Spanish. You know what I mean? We
Right.
communicate with our sons, and we have more of that Spanglish vibe, and I wanted to see more, you know, Latinos from the U.S. up up on the screen, big screen TV, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I started that official Latino Film Festival um, for that reason. And last year, I was able to put 5 films on HBO.
Wow.
You could actually
Five
see
films.
5 films, 5 short films written, directed, and produced by Latinos of the U.S. in HBO. So HBO actually sponsors my festival
Mm-hmm.
and license the films directly from my festival into HBO. Hold on, hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Keep it real.
I just scanned the boarding pass into
All
the
right.
gate.
All right. You getting in the
No,
gate?
but I'm good. Yeah, but it looks like it might be another 15 minutes now because I'm standing waiting to board the plane.
Well, anytime you have to jump off, obviously let us know. We want to make sure you get.
Yeah, I'll give you enough time. We're good. And I
Awesome.
have a
Awesome.
microphone right next to my mouth, so I'm not screaming.
No, this is perfect. One of the questions I have, I think other people would love to know is it's a power question: is the power and prestige of creating an image, brand, logo. The woo. Okay, the woo. How
Hmm.
has that helped you obtain recognition in your career?
It helped it tremendously. It really did because I pride myself that when that came out, nothing looked like that, and pretty much for the last 25 years, nothing looks like that either.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped me um, get a lot of stuff, and not necessarily to make people look like the Woo, but to put as much love and skill and focus into people's projects,
Mm.
right? Because if you see the Wu Tang and you see Jodeci, Diary of a Madman, and you see Mark Anthony's album covers, they're very different, but they really talk about the music, right?
Right.
So it was like my signature style to bring to life people's music, no matter what genre. And if you go right now to DannyHastingsPhotography.com, I just shot the number one rock and roll record, the number one Billboard rock and roll record right now,
Mm-hmm.
which is
What
the
was that?
Pretty Reckless. It's called the Pretty Reckless,
Okay.
and it's Taylor Momsen on top of a motorcycle. So if you see that, that's the number one record of Billboard rock and roll. So I'm still doing it, man.
That's right. always
I'm
with the.
still doing it.
That's amazing.
Yes,
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah.
so,
bro.
so
Nice
could you
stuff.
share with us what is the respect that you find in the Latino culture of your work?
You mean people?
Yes.
Hold on one second. Hold on, let me see if I'm looking for my bag. Shit. Okay, I got my bag here. Um, it's it's a complicated question and complicated answer. One of the things that the Latino community is, it's very complex. You know, it's very complex because we don't only deal with like you know the the demographics part of it or the age part of it, but we also deal with like the regional part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have like Mexican, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans. I'm from Panama, and my father is Mexican. So, you deal with all of that, and then it gets fragmented into old school, new school, and then it gets even further into Spanish and English,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, people in Panama right now, the whole country, they don't even know that I exist, and I've been doing this for 30 years.
Right.
That puts it in perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Latinos in the U.S., the young Latinos that were born and raised in the U.S. that love American culture, hip hop, and come from that background. Oh man, dude, it's like I'm Superman to them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of what I've done and what I constantly try to do for the community, reach back and bring somebody up, right?
Right.
The respect is 100% there. But when it comes to like, let's say, networks, TV networks, and establishment that are already established, like let's say like Univision, Telemundo, even companies that do Latino content that is predominant in Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same effect as Panama, right? Like,
Right.
and I'm not saying Panama just to single them out, but it's the same effect as they're not checking for me,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So it's like, with that being said, I have to create my own network. I have to nurture that network. I have to be, okay, so if you're not checking for me, then I'm gonna nurture this over here and connect with this youth that's happening right now, right? And that's why I created the official Latino Film Festival that focuses on American Latino and diverse content, right? So we also show films directed by African Americans, Asians, LGBT. Like we have it's pretty inclusive.
Right. I think that's a very good point that you mentioned. I'm happy you mentioned it, is because a lot of times people get frustrated on, oh man, they're not
Mm-hmm.
checking for me. I don't understand why they don't know me. Don't you know my stuff
Mm-hmm.
is like the mad rapper, my man D Dot. Don't you know my stuff is John Blaze, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, you have to create your own. You got to figure out. You got to create your own community. So I love that you touched on that.
Yeah, man, and I think that's where we pretty much that's where we come from, bro. That's what we do, man.
Hmm.
Right? Like
That's right.
that's what we do, man. It's not like we're not asking. Like that's one of the things that I was telling some of the Latino filmmakers. Like, dude, we're not. The only reason why I created the official Latino Film Festival was because I didn't see any Latino being nominated on the 2014 Oscars,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
Like it was basically then the next year the hashtag Oscars So What came out, right?
Right.
So I was like ahead of that curve, and I was like, you know what? If they're not looking for us, then F it. We're gonna do our own festival. We're gonna
Right.
keep our own Oscars, right? And then all
Hmm.
of a sudden, bro, I had 500 submissions.
What?
500 submissions,
That's huge.
you know,
Hmm.
Crazy.
and I think that's what we have to do, you know, um, just making sure that, and then use the power to bring people up at the same time. I mean, 12A, 12A. Hello, how are you? 12A. That's all right.
Hey, we
Okay.
in real time here on Power Moves. We got real power moves. Big moves about to jump on a plane.
Jumping on a plane.
So we totally
Yeah, man, but
respect the
I'm.
unanimous.
Hold on one second.
Hey, that's CEO right there. That's at his highest level, and we respect that he's given us this much time. So Danny, we understand. We gotta bounce, man. We totally do.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Danny,
Yeah,
bro.
I'm
So
here. Can you
just
hear me?
kind of just let's just wrap it up so you can relax on your flight.
I'm sitting down on my flight right now. I'm sitting on the plane.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
Okay.
We can talk now.
hey, we're gonna kick
I
the
just put
blast.
my seatbelt on, and I'm
Hey,
buckled up.
we're loving all the time you're giving us. We heard you just moved from New York to Palm Springs, baby. What is it like?
Yeah.
How the neighbors? How they respecting your game? What you bringing to the neighborhood?
Well, I brought the festival to the valley, right? So I brought the festival to um, the Coachella Valley. It's called the Coachella Valley. So the Coachella Valley has like a bunch of cities. The biggest one is Palm Springs.
Hmm.
Then you have the Coachella city, and then you have Indio. That's where the Coachella Festival happens, right? And I live between that and Palm Springs. When they saw the film festival that I brought together, it just like blew their minds, bro. Because I came with that New York hustle, right? Like, like you understand? Like I brought HBO to that place. HBO came. HBO came and gave filmmakers licenses to be on HBO. Right now, you could play 5 of our movies on HBO.
Wow.
And you brought that to Palm Springs, basically.
Me,
That's a
right?
power move.
For Latinos. But see, that's the thing. Palm Springs has been having a film festival, right?
Hmm.
Might as well have it,
That's right.
you know, because the community over there is predominantly it's like even for them operating in different
We missed that. You said the community over there is what?
Predominantly Latino.
Okay.
But that festival doesn't really, it's not inclusive of them, right?
Right.
So I'm bringing something that needs to happen because I feel the American Latino voice is being part of every major cultural movement in America, bro. It's been part of it. But for some reason, we never see the stories, bro. We went to all the wars. We did all the marches. We were part of hip hop. We've been part of the beginning of everything in here. But for some reason, the only Latino narrative that you hear is this kind of speaking immigrant story. So what happened from the 1950s to today, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first person to ever invented the 3-camera shot that that America uses in sitcoms was Desi Arnaz, Ricky Ricardo.
Uh-huh.
Yep. He invented the 3-camera shot. Before that, it was like a honeymooners. It was like a 1 camera on it, or 2 cameras, or 1 camera, right? He invented the 3. He was like, you know what? Put a camera on her, then put a camera on me, put a white shot. And we edit that together. How do you like that?
That's right. Desi Arnaz was something. And today is hip hop's birthday, baby. So.
Oh yes.
So when we talk about Latinos and the hip hop culture with graffiti writing and art and drawing, that's the reason why breakdancing, crazy legs. I mean the whole 9 yards. Like this is where it's at, man. And the fact that you're bringing it back full circle is what makes it amazing. And the fact that you transferred from New York to come to Palm Springs, and you're bringing that Latino culture to those folks who didn't have nothing but the desert.
Yeah.
So now you bring in the Latino festival there, which is a major power move on your part. So that's kudos to you. So give us a little Spanish. What advice can you give to some folks who are listening, so we can be on Spotify Latino?
Yo, man, listen, my son right now, I'm blown away by the way this whole thing has evolved. Right now, you really don't need that much to be on Spotify, right? You know that, right?
Oh, what you said?
Right now, it's not really rocket science to be on Spotify.
Right.
My son just put me into this, and this is why I love learning from young people, right? He made one song, his first song, and he's already on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
He bypassed what record companies have been basically doing for artists. He did it for himself. And not to single him out, the entire youth knows this.
Right.
They're all doing it. So
your back is to go up?
It's just this little bag. It's just this little bag.
I know. It's just that you have to.
Sure. So my advice is make your music and find an online distribution and put it on. It's only $40 a year. Joel, it's that simple, man.
It's that simple. It wasn't that simple back in the days.
It wasn't. That's what you're asking that question. Like, how can they get on Spotify? And it's like, bro, it's really just very simple. it's crazy right now, which is
Mm-hmm.
good too, you know. But it's a different ball game right now. So the ball game right now is like, if you want to be successful, you work as hard as you want to be, and fast, and as much as you can right now. Get that out of the get that work out of the way, man. Do it now. I think that Nike slogan is it's what should be defining the next generation. Like, just do it, man.
Just do it and do it now.
Just do it and do it now, and do it a lot, and do it every day, and do it every hour. Just keep doing it, because you're gonna make money right now.
Awesome.
Like, you could actually make more money. There's artists right now on Spotify making more money than artists trying to live, bro.
That's right. That's right. Especially if they know how to market themselves properly, it can easily be done. Well, listen, man, we're gonna shut down. But it was great. We're gonna have to get you on the show without you flying. You got to slow down for me, dog. Every time I try to catch you, you was always in the mood. So
Never a dull moment with me, man.
we definitely need to do one, because I gotta put this interview on all my platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all that stuff. But what we'll do, we'll make sure that we might have to do it on a day that we're not live on the radio, but we'll recapture this so that people can know Danny Hastings, my man.
Man, whatever you brothers need, man. Whatever you brothers need.
All right.
Thank you for having me. I'm about to take off. And,
that's right. Have a safe flight, brother.
Thank you, man. I hit you guys when I land, so you can, we're good.
All right. That's right. That's right.
Well,
All right. Thank you so much. All right. We'll talk soon. Okay. Peace. Bye.
Hey, that's how committed our guests are. It's amazing to see that someone is
The conversation, as difficult as it was with the background and everything, but in terms of what was the nuggets that you came away with that you would want to share with your children, or with being that you're a diversity inclusion expert, what takeaways did you get from Danny's story?
well, I love the fact that towards the end there he mentioned something like "do it now." Like, just do it, but do it now. We're in a point now where everybody's wanting to figure out how to have a voice, and partly is don't be afraid to reach out and get going on whatever it is that motivates you about wanting to see more equity, more inclusion, more diversity. Speak your voice. People are listening more now intently than ever. Business owner, I'm seeing more receptivity to us in the marketplace ever before. And I've only
Mm-hmm.
been a business owner for 6 years, but I've worked as a entrepreneur within companies and corporations for 20 plus years. And I can tell you the time is now. People don't sleep. Danny just unfolded an amazing career, and at his age, he's still inventing the film festival to Palm Springs is just another iteration. I can't imagine what that thing is going to be like when we get through this COVID, and he's able to add tremendous value where people can come together again. It's going to be amazing. So kudos to him being a pioneer for the Latino community in that festival. Much needed. It reminds me of Jeff Friday with the African American Black Film Festival in Miami.
Right.
Version is needed too. So much success to Danny. Thank you for imparting the knowledge. What about you, man? What do you think was important?
I think one of the biggest things, with power moves, and we got 1 more minute, so I'm gonna keep it nice and sweet for my producer. The importance of recognizing other financial opportunities, revenue generating opportunities, and then including others in it.
Yeah.
So I think the one big takeaway is what he's doing with the Wu and Nas and Eminem that he's worked with, in which he has those shots, he's getting them to autograph it, and they're splitting the proceeds together. And so all these folks are not able to tour right now.
Right.
But now he's presenting them an opportunity. So there's always an opportunity to do more and make a power move and generate income. So on that note, we are out. So this is Power Moves with celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. See you next week, Tuesday, baby.
All right. Thank you for holding it down. We'll be back next week.
Next week.
Peace, y'all.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. Feedthepig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without